Can you hear me?
Yep. What up?
You hitting Hall of Fame too, bro? You just finished 40K last month.
Hall of Fame. I got it. No problem.
Hall of Fame by June?
By June?
By June?
Sheesh. I don't know about June.
I'm just kidding, dude. Cool, man. Well, dude, thanks for taking the time out of your busy day.
Yeah.
I wanted to have you on, dude, because obviously you and Omar are really close. But one thing that I've noticed too is like, if we're just looking at this from a leadership position, I think you've done a phenomenal job, dude, because what I'm noticing is like, some of the people on the team are working a little bit more closely with you. And just all of a sudden, I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're feeding these people. People are just like selling all this kinds of insurance. I'm like, what's going on? So I wanted to get you on and pick your brain a little bit, dude. Yeah. So I guess let me ask, first question is, you're in a position where you don't necessarily have to go out and sell insurance. Like you're not in a position where, oh my gosh, if I don't sell insurance, I'm not making any money and I'm screwed. You're not in that position. You made a lot of good choices throughout your life. You made a good amount of money throughout your whole life. You're in a good spot, but you still choose to sell.
Yeah.
You sell a lot. Can you talk about why you do that?
Being relevant, right? How am I supposed to teach something I'm not relevant to? How am I supposed to teach something if I'm not experiencing the same things, right? If I'm getting those rebuttals, the no's, I have to be able to, I can see the same things you see. So that's important to me. So I can't teach you something I'm not doing, right? So that's why I spend a lot of time and I listen to presentations, it's just to stay relevant, to be able to teach and coach and help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best leadership style, dude, is leading by example, right? Because there's not one person on your team that will say, why would I listen to Harold? He doesn't do this. It's like, no, I do this,
Yeah.
Dude, there was a while there, man, where I got out of the field for like 8 months. Okay. And I regret it. I do. Because there was a lot of times I had agents calling me when they were in the home, or if they were with a client or something, like, hey, Isaiah, I've got this situation and, I just kind of need some guidance on it. What would you do? And what I started catching myself saying was, well, back when I was selling, I would do this. I'm like, dude, why am I saying that? Like, I sound like I'm retired or something. Like,
yeah,
I could get back into it and stay sharp. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what motivated me to kind of do the same thing that you are, dude. So I commend you for that, man. It's an awesome, and I mean, all your agents respect you for that, dude, for sure. So, dude, what's the sauce, bro?
I was just.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, maybe you can go on like a little tangent. I'll let you talk for a few minutes. What are you seeing that agents are doing wrong?
Sure.
Okay. And what do you think that you're doing to kind of help tweak those things to help agents sell more insurance?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, and it's about like mental capacity, right? So a lot of people talk about at the end of the day, they're like, dude, I'm burnt out. My mind is completely burnt out, right? So it's real, right? You really do get mentally destroyed, So I like efficiency. I'm all about efficiency. So how I think about it is just in general of everything that we do is how can I make it more efficient and how can I reduce mental capacity, right? So for example, like that whole, like what Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, they wear the same thing every day, right? I do that too, like damn near. Just today, I was like, oh man, I'm going to talk. I got to figure out a button up. Guess what? I pick whatever's on the top of the pile. Okay, that's how I operate. I wear sweats, short, t-shirt, whatever it is, every single day. And it's funny because then my wife will tell me like, didn't you just wear that yesterday? But I'm like, well, it was on the top of the pile. You just washed it. So I'll just wear it. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. The clients can't see me anyways. So I just think that if I can just speed up that process, right? Because you get that mental like drain when you're like, I don't know what to wear. I don't know what to do. No, I just pick up the same thing, go straight through. Then when I'm working, for example, like I get into a presentation, I literally have it in front of me and I read it. Do I add little things here and there? Sure, I add my jokes and stuff like that, but it's every presentation is identical. It's the same. I'm not sitting there in a presentation like, oh man, I got to figure out the greatest rebuttal and how to really, sell this. I don't think, no, I'm just gonna read the presentation and run it straight through and just add my jokes of, oh, do you remember if you have Alzheimer's or dementia? Ha ha ha. Yeah, same joke every time. I say it every presentation, but it's the same. So the more I keep it the same, the more I can do, right? I can do more presentations. I can talk to more people because I'm not draining my battery as fast as other people are, right? And then, yeah, even like doing applications, I'm so used to doing applications and seeing it that I already know which ones to click, if I'm, and my speed and efficiency is very important too, right? Exactly. Having multiple tabs, exactly why I have 4 screens is because efficiency. When I'm in a presentation, I just want to focus on what I have, right? So one screen is the lead, one screen is the script, one screen is the insurance toolkit, one screen is that mortgage calculator to do all the work for me. So I'm just sitting there. I'm not fumbling through different tabs. I'm not clicking like 4 different tabs just to find my place. None of that. It's all right here. So again, mental capacity, efficiency, it's all there. I'm just turning my head. That's it. There's no extra work involved. So it makes it so it's easier to do everything that I need to do. I can get it done faster.
Yeah, man. Dude, that's crazy you say that, because there's a lot of successful people out there that talk about the same thing. It's just they keep their life really, really simple so that they can spend their mental capacity on things that help them more, right?
Yep.
So you're basically just doing that with insurance.
Yep.
You try not to spend too much time thinking about something, or going back and forth about something, or you have all these ideas. You're just like, I'm just going to kind of follow this system so that I can spend my mental capacity on income producing activities. Right.
When something does arise, I have the capacity to handle it.
Right. That's really good, dude.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? What are you seeing a lot of agents do wrong?
Sure. Overcomplicating the process, right? It's simple, right? The formula is there. Everybody, for the most part, runs the same formula. The people who are successful run the same identical formula, right? It's 100 leads a day, book your appointments, follow your presentation properly, right? If you disrupt any of those things, it will mess up your whole process, right? It's a machine. You want to keep it operating like a machine, right? If you try to change out a part thinking like, oh, it'll go faster, it's not the case. The machine already works. Keep it going. That's all you have to do is just keep feeding the machine, right? So make it simple. Book the appointment. Presentation. I've heard numerous people present, and I'm very strict on how I operate with, if somebody wants to work with me one-on-one or spend some time with me, I'm like, hey, you have to follow this presentation, the presentation I do, because I can help you with that. If it is like you making stuff up and kind of ad-libbing, I can't help you, because every presentation is going to be different that you do. And it's going to be, you're ad-libbing every single time. I can't help you. I can't correct that. I can't do anything with that, right? Because it's different every single time. That means I'd have to sit with you every single presentation, and right when you start talking and I'd have to be like, oh yeah, switch it up to this, switch it up to, the directions change, right? Your map is your map, which is your script, right? Follow your map, and the importance of the script is also a huge mistake that agents make, is not following it properly. Okay, so I had the same conversation as well with somebody else about the presentation. The presentation it's a map. It's your directions to the presentation, right? So it's written a specific way. It leads you to all the rebuttals, and it answers the rebuttals before they could even give it to you, right? You don't want to have a back and forth style conversation with a client, right? They tell you something, they ask a question. You don't want that. You want it to be like, let me just address every single rebuttal that you're going to have before you even tell me, right? So if your presentation, if you don't know your presentation, if you don't know what's next, right, and you're surprised as much as the client is when you're doing your presentation, you have a huge problem. Okay. Because if you're not knowing like, hey, this is going to be the next turn, the next turn, the next turn, you're lost every single time, every single presentation. Right. So the best way to think about it is this. It's like, for example, Isaiah, you go to the gym every day, right? Okay. How far is the gym from there, from your house?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. But you know how to get there every single time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if I took your route and I removed every single street sign, every single freeway and all that signs and everything, would you still be able to make it there?
100%.
100%. But if there was an obstacle in the way, would you still be able to get around it because you know the route?
100%.
Exactly. So if your presentation isn't to that extent, you're already messing up, because you're going to get hit with an obstacle and you're like, what do I do? Because this is the first time I'm reading it. It's like, I don't remember my presentation. Oh gosh, what do I do? That's it. You get lost and that's it. And you're like, oh, they had to think about it. Well, yeah, you didn't even know what was next. So that's how important it is to know the presentation. You need to read it constantly, listen to other people who are presenting because they're doing the same presentation. My advice to like a new person in the beginning is your first presentation should not be your first presentation. Okay, what I mean by that is if your first presentation is the first time you're going through the presentation for the day, you're already like, okay, let me remember what was supposed to be next. Because when you read it prior to your first presentation, all it is now recollection, because you just ran through it. Now it's like, oh yeah, I remember what's next. I remember what's next. I remember what's next. So it's not your first presentation, it's your second one, because you just read it to yourself, spoke it out loud or whatever it may be. And then you're getting to your presentation. You're like, all right, cool. If you ever find yourself stuttering or stopping, that's exactly what it is. Does that make sense?
Golden, bro.
Yeah.
Drop a 5 in the chat. HD just dropped some heat. Dude, that was really good, bro. That analogy was really, did you just make that up? Or
No, I use it all the time.
man, I was like, dude,
real.
that makes perfect sense. Yeah, man, I like just how simple you keep things, right? I think you were kind of the one that spearheaded the whole like talk less too during, your appointment. You're the one who kind of started that. And, we all kind of took little bits and pieces from that. And dude, there's no question why you're an OG in this business, dude. And I mean, you guys are growing like crazy, man. So, last question for you, because we're running up on time here. What's your goal for 2023?
It's an interesting question, because it changes, right? So you have your goal of, yes, cool, Hall of Fame agency, right? But for me, it's like, to be honest, it's not necessarily me. It's more of like agency wise, right? Team wise. Yes, I want to see Omar hit Hall of Fame. I want to see Dean, who's pushing for Hall of Fame. I want to see Victor, who's pushing for Hall of Fame. The multiple agents who are actually pushing for Hall of Fame, I want to see it through. Because to me, that's more important, right? Because if my team, if we have Hall of Famers, I mean, my goals are already, I'm going to hit every single one. It's not even a question. So it's more of me having to push and make sure that the people who are pushing for certain goals, that I'm actually supporting those goals, right? And supporting the people who need help. That's kind of, to me, is what leads to that Hall of Fame agency of what, 10 million, right?
Million, yep.
So it's more than achievable, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of making sure my agency or the team in general, the whole virtual team, whether my team or not my team, it doesn't matter. But it's that Will Smith analogy, right? You can't build a wall just straight up. You have to go brick by brick. So if I take it brick by brick, each day by day, week by week or whatnot, or each agent by each agent, then I'm good. Because if I can get an agent to just go and turn their whole situation around, go from 5,000, a month, right? And then go and say, all right, dude, I need to switch you to 5,000 a week minimum. And then your mentality needs to switch to 10,000. Because that's really what it is now, right? You write 5,000, you look at them like, oh, you took the week off, or how many days you just work part-time this week, or what happened, right? 10,000 is like the new 5. Like everybody's writing 10, submitting 10. So that mentality switch of really pressing on agents to change that mentality is really what my goal is. right? If I can get everybody to switch to that and write 10 a week, everything will just fall into place. So that's more of what my goal is. Sure, Hall of Fame and all that, but
You know, called,
was is that internet in Texas, huh?
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry, dude, I think the internet here like cut out
Yeah.
for a second. But dude, so I wanted to say something real quick before we let all you guys go here. You know, Harold says, you know, I mean, you guys hear a lot of leaders or managers out there that say, hey, you know, I just want the team to win, you know, it's for the team. And you guys hear that a lot. Some people, in my opinion, aren't like super genuine with that. What I can say about Harold 100%, and all of you guys here that know him, know he genuinely means that. He genuinely cares about your success, like for real. Dude, when Harold first started here, he had agents on totally different teams calling him. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're just a little behind.
Oh man, my internet's like, everyone's like all like choppy. But Harold had agents on totally different teams, like not even in the Elevate hierarchy, like totally different teams on the other side of the country. Like, and they're asking him questions about stuff. And Harold calling me, he's like, hey, this guy, you know, he's, dude, you can't help like literally every single person that calls you because you're not gonna have time for anything, dude. And he's like, no, man, like I can do it. I can help him out. I'm just like, this guy's special. He really is. So if you guys work with Harold, you all know how special he is. And dude, we appreciate your leadership and everything that you provide for the team, dude. I genuinely do mean that, bro.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, even an open door, man. I always have people in my house. Like it's pretty consistent. People come over. I'm like, you're sitting in front of me. You can't, you know, it's cheating. It's like you're talking to a client and I'm sitting right next to you. It's cheating.
yeah. It's real, dude. Well, guys, we'll end it with that, dude. Appreciate all you guys for jumping on.